to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today, Around Kansas starts with a look at the Grainfield Opera House, built in 1887. Next, meet Kansan Frank Werth, an Elvis impersonator, with a mission to make sure no one forgets Elvis and his legacy. Then enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with Burt Reynolds and Buck Taylor, who reminisce about their days on Gunsmoke. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Well, a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And this is Around Kansas. So, if you've tuned in for the first time, what our show is we tell you about people, places, and things that make Topeka and the rest of Kansas a great place to visit and to live.
If you're tuning in for the first time, where have you been? You've got a lot of catching up to do, and you can go to our website and do just that, to aroundkansas.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, and we post segments and full episodes there. So lots of cool stuff to catch up on.
You know, it is nice. A lot of people do repost our shows on Facebook.
We love you for that.
Like, neat. Thank you.
We do. We love you for that. And feel free to share with your friends, because there's folks all over the country, all over the world, that maybe used to live in Kansas and don't anymore, and like to keep up with what the home folks are doing. And there are people planning trips all across the country, and so you can let them know what kind of cool stuff there is to stop and see and do while they're in the Sunflower State. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, so you've been traveling around as usual.
As usual.
I'm just kind of sedentary anymore. I'm kind of stuck here in northeast Kansas.
You know, one of my cousins, he ran a service station back home, and so I'd always go in there to get gas, and he was teasing me one day. He said, when you go home, I bet you park that car where you can't look out the window and see it, because you can't stand to see it sitting still, can you? No, really not. So it's burn up the roads. And oh, well.
But
gosh, there's so much to see, Frank.
Yeah, there is.
There's so much to see.
Well, but I mean, I don't sit in my rocker, and all that.
Hardly.
I do have a two-wheeler, and I've been getting out on it a lot more this year.
And I've been seeing a lot of motorcycles on the road, too.
There are a lot. So look out for them.
Look out for them.
Yes.
Look out for them. And the bicyclists.
Yes.
Because the bicyclists are out in full force, too, because the weather's so nice. I tell you what, I was driving really across the whole state a couple of weekends ago. We left Oakley, and I had to speak at Baldwin at the Battle of Blackjack battlefield. So literally, across the whole state. It was so green, it hurt your eyes. It was absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The skies were stunning, the clouds, the grass, and everywhere. Fat, happy cows everywhere, just wading in the grass. And my God, there's never been a more beautiful time to see the state. The yucca are blooming. Everything that can bloom is blooming. Yeah. It's just beautiful.
Well, the drought is over, and now Kansas looks like it used to.
It looks like Shangri-La. Yeah. I mean, it really does. It's just amazing that incredible, the grasses and the wheat fields. Oh my God, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's a great time to get on that bike. And hey, I ran into a bunch of people who were, speaking of motorcycles, going to the new motorcycle museum in St. Francis. Ran into a group at a restaurant the other day that were headed up there. So that's got to be on your bucket list this summer, Frank.
Yes.
That's one of your, put that on your list of trips.
It is.
All right.
We'll be back.
Getting Frank all mapped out. Stay with us.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Lecompton. The name was splashed across newspapers throughout America and Europe. It was debated in the halls of Congress. Lecompton interprets its unique territorial history with 2 museums and other sites. Events throughout the year celebrate history and community.
Experience the life of the mountain man, American Indian, trappers, and traders at the annual Bald Eagle Rendezvous, September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Spend the day in historic Lecompton, shopping, eating, savoring the rich history.
Support Kansas agriculture education with an AgriTag. AgriTags are available anytime at your county treasurer. They look great on cars and trucks. For more information, go online to ksagclassroom.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life. And we're back.
So, Frank, you did, was it last year, or who can keep up with the time, but you featured a lot of the opera houses throughout the state, so you're really familiar with the history of how the opera houses came to be.
Yeah, opera houses, it was kind of the mark of culture in a town, and a lot of it was whether they had a railroad or not, too.
Right.
But, yeah, of course, they would build a church, a school, and an opera house, and then they...
Called it a town.
They had a town.
Right.
Well, because think of it, they didn't have radio or TV, and so they had an opera house that many times served as their city meeting hall. But then there were a lot of traveling groups that came through, and that was their entertainment. It's like, hey, let's go.
Yeah,
And
one of my favorite movies, and most of my buddies who are fans of Westerns, the movie Tombstone. And of course, there's that great scene in the movie Tombstone where you've got the traveling troupe that's performing for all these rowdy cowboys. Very, very accurate. That's a great little scene, and you've got them doing the Shakespearean stuff and, singing and just doing little bits of, little vignettes, but that's very typical of what those opera houses would have, the kind of shows they would have had.
Yeah. Well, and like I say, the railroads had a lot to do with it too, because there were a lot of touring companies that, of course, were actually owned by the railroads, and they would go town to town and perform as well. So.
And that would encourage, like you said, foster culture and all kinds of good times. So we're going to share the story of one of those opera houses that the community has come together to preserve and restore, and there's communities all over Kansas doing this and with very limited budgets, and it's just an amazing story in every case of the community coming together to save that very central part of what made them a town. So let's take a look at the Grainfield Opera House. For most of its existence, the Grainfield Opera House, located on 3rd and Main, has been used as a community center. Designed to accommodate a variety of commercial and social uses, the building represents the early optimism and subsequent fortunes of Grainfield and the surrounding agricultural territory. In fact, the town takes its name from the area wheat fields. Construction began on the Opera House in 1887. The basement was dug and the dirt was used to grade the streets. The limestone was shipped from the Bunker Hill area, and the brick came from the kiln northwest of town. The ornate cast iron facade was manufactured by the Mesker brothers of St. Louis and was shipped westward by rail. Local workmen assembled and attached it to the structure. In 1888, the Opera House began renting space to local businesses. The newspaper, mercantile, and general merchandise stores, a harness shop, doctor's office, hardware store, and subsequently auto store and a car dealership. It also housed the Masonic Lodge. Vaudeville troupes, hypnotists, comedians, and boxers were among the entertainers that frequented the stage. Most of the stock companies arrived by rail and stayed 3 to 5 nights. Those coming to dances often arrived before sundown, danced until midnight, then went to the hotel for a meal, and returned to dance until daylight. Renovated and preserved, the Opera House is once again the center of the small town.
Grainfield boasts a population of about 300 souls. The Opera House is on the National Register of Historic Places. Weddings, anniversary dinners, family reunions, any of the reasons that people come together, all of those events take advantage of this historic Gove County landmark.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fresh herbs are healthy and add zest to almost every recipe. The folks at Jackson's grow more than 50 varieties of herbs right here, and many are available year-round. Our staff has hands-on experience and can't wait to assist you with your herb needs. Stop in and see us at Jackson's. We're open 7 days a week.
Our annual June clearance is now bigger than ever. Choose Mix or Match flat specials or buy one, get one half off the second plant.
Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome back, folks. And you know, when folks were touring the opera houses of Kansas and the West back in the 19th century, it's so sad that they didn't have Elvis touring back then. You know what? Really. You know, I ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Yeah.
Look what they missed. Isn't that sad that they lived and died before Elvis came on the scene?
Yeah, but they probably had their superstars then too.
I guess they did. I guess they did. And now that Elvis, of course, is not on the scene anymore, at least we guess he's not, we've got all this phenomenon of Elvis impersonators.
Yeah.
It's just like a culture unto itself.
Well, it is, you know, and I got to do a kind of an Elvis impersonation at Apple Valley Farm several years ago. That was my other life, of course.
Oh my God! Did we
the
have
Daily
film
Stew
of that?
Players were there, and we did the Shaboom Boy. Well, I was this rock star that was kind of fading, and the Shaboom Boy came on, but I got to do Hound Dog and you know, the whole thing.
We got to find some footage of that. We got to share that. That was a real Kodak moment. Well, you know, I grew up in the South, so that's Elvis's birthday is a national holiday, January 8th. And now that I live in Kansas, my good friend Dina Anson and I celebrate Elvis's birthday every year. We exchange gifts. I'll get Michael to get some photos of in my office, right next to all my cowboy stuff and the Buffalo Bill. There is the Elvis bobblehead, and I've got the Elvis whiskey decanter with the Elvis, playing drums, and so yeah, the King lives.
Okay, have you been to Graceland?
You know, I wrote my name on the wall. I stopped and did not have time to go through it, but I did write my name on the wall out front of Graceland.
Okay, Graceland is a real experience, and everyone should go at some time.
There was the comedian who went out and saw Elvis's pink Cadillac and said, "I didn't know Elvis sold Mary Kay," you know.
Oh, that's low.
But we've got a wonderful Elvis impersonator to share with
do.
you today from our very own, from the heartland. He's from just outside of Hayes, so you're going to love meeting Frank Werth.
Life was pretty simple growing up in the small German community of Shinshin with about 200 people. Frank Werth's life was filled with music as a little boy. His parents recorded his early efforts at singing, and Frank said it makes him laugh now to hear how he sang with conviction, even if he didn't know how to pronounce the words. While he's been influenced by many great artists such as Roy Orbison, Karen Carpenter, Charlie Rich, Jackson 5, the Beatles, it was the King, Elvis Presley, who would play the greatest role in shaping his career. Don't Be Cruel by Elvis Presley was the first song that he heard, and it has made a huge impact on his life, Frank said. My fondest memories of my childhood were the times we'd spend evenings and holidays with our family listening to my dad's albums, singing into the night, he said. Frank said he became an Elvis tribute artist simply because it's been a way for him to thank Elvis for everything he's done for him, and though they never met, he feels a spiritual connection. Frank said that he is first a huge Elvis fan himself, and then when he performs, he cares about the authenticity and does not take the portrayal lightly. Frank has won numerous contests, opened for the Fab Four, a tribute band honoring the Beatles, and performed at venues across the nation, including Madison Square Garden. His mission, he said, is that no one forgets Elvis. As long as Frank Werth is performing, there's no danger of Elvis being forgotten.
There's a lot of different ways of doing this woodwork, but all of it still takes both hands.
He had been told that by the orthopedic specialist in Enid, Oklahoma, that they would have to fuse his thumb.
And I said, no, cut it off, because I didn't want it sticking up. And I found out about the Kansas regenerative stem cell and went to Manhattan.
We were so impressed with how royally we were treated the first time we came to Kansas Regenerative.
We came in and he took out the stem cells. It took about an hour for him to process them before they put him back in my knees and my thumb. And we were out of here in about 4 hours and on our way back home. And I'm in here today to have my shoulders, my hips, and my back done. So I'll be able to go back to my sawmill, my shop, and do about anything I want to do.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Being thrifty is a virtue. My kids might say that I'm cheap, but of course that all depends on what the cowboy wants to spend money on. This poem is entitled The Bargain. My wife and I went to the big city some time back. I stopped by the Western store to price some tools and tack. I need another pitchfork, but I sure said no dice when I saw they were charging an $18 price. That's way too much, I said, and we went on down the road, 'cause I thought I'd find a bargain in an ad the paper showed. Our farm paper advertised a used tool and equipment sale, where I figured I could get a bargain without fail. It was part of an auction scheduled on a Saturday soon. The equipment sold in the morning, and the horse sale was at noon. So I bid on a pitchfork when we went over to the sale and got it for $8, less than half the price retail. I was proud of myself and my wise and thrifty ways when that auction entered into its next and final phase. The horse sale had begun, and the very next thing, the most beautiful quarter horse was led into the ring. A gorgeous 15-hand gelding. His color was bay, with great breeding lines registered by AQHA. The owner gave a glowing talk about his many strengths. To have that horse, I realized I'd go to any lengths. So in spite of my wife whispering in my ear, I raised my hand and caught the attention of the auctioneer. And then before I hardly realized just what I did, I ran her up and finally got the winning bid. I put that horse in the trailer, and we drove to the home place, but I didn't like the look I saw upon my dear wife's face. I could tell I was seriously on my wife's bad list. I finally said, "Hon, I'm sorry, I just could not resist." I knew she was suffering buyer's remorse from the $4,000 I'd spent on that horse. I said, "I guess I'm sorry for the way I behaved, but don't forget that pitchfork and the $10 that we saved." Well, it took a while, but my wife has finally forgiven me. She says I am a poster child for false economy. Happy trails.
Heinen Brothers, a fourth-generation Northeast Kansas farm family, knows how tough farming can be. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag, selling and servicing crop protection products, fertilizer, anhydrous ammonia, cover crops, quality aerial and ground application. Call today to learn about our extended term financing program. 800-760-4964. HeinenBrothersAg.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. And we're back.
With all kinds of icons. We
Yeah.
had Elvis, and now we're going to go to Burt Reynolds. I met Burt Reynolds.
Okay.
It was so cool.
You know,
Wish you could have been there, Frank.
do you
Not
know that
really.
one of his first really big starring roles was in Gunsmoke?
Of course I
Yes.
do. And
Yeah.
that's why he was in Dodge City last fall at the Wild West Fest, one of the coolest events ever. And he and Buck Taylor, who of course was newly on Gunsmoke and one of our dear friends, had a press conference together, and I have to say Burt could not be more gracious. He could not have said nicer things about Dodge City itself, about his role on Gunsmoke, about all the people he worked with. Milburn Stone, he couldn't have been nicer in talking about Milburn Stone. And of course, Buck Taylor, if there's a nicer man on the planet, I don't know who it is. He's just one of the best people ever.
Another note about Burt Reynolds. See this little button up here? That's my Phi Delta Theta button. And Burt Reynolds is a Phi.
Really?
Yes, so there you go, guys.
I will tell him you said hello the next time we talk.
At the time, I went on Gunsmoke. You know, it was very popular. Had no idea that it was going to be this popular and go so long. You know, I was on it the last 8 years, and I figured when it was canceled, that would be it. But it's going on and on and on, and for 60 years straight, I mean, it's still going. And I go to a lot of venues where they have a lot of people, and it's amazing how many fans that this show has accumulated. And mind you, if there wasn't a Dodge City, there wouldn't have been a Gunsmoke. So Dodge City is known all over the world, and Gunsmoke is kind of synonymous with that. It's probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, in my professional career. And I had no idea it was going to give me a leg up for the rest of my life. So I loved Gunsmoke, loved being part of it.
Well, I was happy to be working, and it was a great show. You know, everybody knows what a great show it is, and it was the nicest bunch of people I've ever worked with, ever, in my career, in terms of just, there was no pushing and shoving and getting in front of the camera or anything. They were all wonderful people, and Jim was really special. I think the thing that surprises everybody was what an amazing sense of humor Jim had. It was just a great time for me too. I mean, Doc was the sage, wonderful man he plays. He was just a great help to me in my career. He was the one that told me that I should leave and do movies, and I said, well, what if I don't get any movies? And he said, no, you're going to get movies. This is just a springboard for you. And if I'd have known this guy was in the wings, I wouldn't have lived quite so fast, but I was really happy doing that show, especially with that group of people.
Well, we've had fun. I hope you have too. So I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamInKansas.com.